Attention, please be advised. The following episode contains spoilers. Don't say we didn't warn you.
Cracked his horns and everything. Did you see?
Yeah, or I
You grasped what?
He grasped his myself.
Yeah.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Mandalori-ON, the weekly nerd-on show where we discuss Disney's hit show, The Mandalorian.
This is the way.
Today, we join a group of unlikely mercenaries and betray someone, but we don't know, in today's episode, Chapter 6,
Yeah.
The
Although,
Prisoner.
I hope you do know because we're going to be talking spoilers.
Yes.
I
Spoiler.
mean, that happens
spoil,
at the
spoil.
beginning, but
Yeah.
some people still don't like
Redacted, spoil.
Redacted, yeah.
some people still don't like spoilers anyways.
Yes.
But let's get started with the show. Our host, I am Tom.
I'm Corey.
I am Ali.
And this episode is brought to you in part by the wonderful people at the Nerd On Nation, powered by Patreon. If you are not familiar with Patreon, it is a service where you can support your favorite creators, such as Nerd On and other podcasts alike, or anyone else in the world.
Yeah.
But if you take part in our $1 or $5 or $8 tiers, you help us become the best show we can be.
Yes.
By joining communities such as our Discord server, getting early access to episodes before we ever air them, or even episodes that have never aired before. And if you'd like to check that out, go on nerdon.io/Patreon. It really does help keep the lights on, and you become one of the nerds of the Nerd On Nation. Doesn't that sound
yeah.
cool?
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you would like to support us even further, but get some more reading under your belt because you love reading things, you should check out this internet great UI service
Wow.
with our other affiliate, Comixology, at nerdon.io/Comixology. If you have any e-readers, it's a really great way to get in touch with more Star Wars lore. There's a lot of good in-between stories during the films. Looks like Corey said, pointing at
Oh,
him
I have
something.
one more thing I want to say, Tom.
Oh, okay.
Leading into the holiday season, if you'd like us to support us even further with your credit cards and
Today!
money and all that kind of stuff, help us keep the lights on, help us be the best show. During your holiday shopping, you can use the link nerdon.io/Amazon, and a percentage of any of your purchase on Amazon will go straight to us
Yep.
to being the best show we can be, right, Tom?
Yes.
This is the way.
nerdon.io/Comixology.
That's not what I said.
I know.
Okay.
Nerdon 5 for
Yeah.
$15 purchase more.
Yeah.
These messages have been approved by the sponsor.
Anyway, here we go. The Prisoner.
The Prisoner.
The
So,
Prisoner.
The heist episode.
yeah,
Yep.
initial reactions and first impressions.
I'll go first
Yeah, go
on
ahead.
this one. This was an episode that was written for me.
Mhm.
I am a big fan of heist movies. I'm a big fan of like the Ocean's movies. I had just told Tom I was watching them over Thanksgiving with my dad. We watched Ocean's 11 and 12.
Nice.
It's very Fincher-esque. It's very Soderbergh. It's very everything I like
Yeah.
about these types of things. Heist. There's betrayals.
Mhm.
There's old flames. There's, you know what I mean? There's
Yep, yep.
action. Like this is everything I wanted. This is the high octane Star Wars that I need.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the cast of this episode as well. This
It was a good group.
This is Jon Favreau. Tom, you'll dive into this later because you were explaining it to me a little bit. But he is casting these comedians who are just slaying the parts they're in.
Bill Burr.
Bill Burr was in this, who's fantastic. The guy who voiced the robot is Richard Ayoade from IT Crowd. We have in the first episode we have Horatio Sands, we have Amy Sedaris. So this series is littered with comedians who are just killing these roles. It was awesome to see Bill Burr in this.
It was.
After the much awaited from the first trailer. Like I'm finally glad we got to see it. Also, we got to see some front and center Twi'leks, which we haven't really gotten to
Yeah,
see in live
couple of
action.
Only one time, I think. Oh, I usually remember. I mean, the most memorable one is the one that worked for Jabba the Hutt.
The dancer, right?
No, I was like, even talking about the dude.
The dude.
Oh, the pink wraparound guy. I don't know
Yeah,
if he's a Twi'lek.
He is. He's a male Twi'lek.
Oh, okay, cool. I was like, he just looks. They usually have
That's
the
how-
two. They usually have the two.
That's how Hera's dad looks like.
Oh, gotcha. So it was a fun episode, and it was kind of cool to explore the New Republic a little bit, and see
Yeah.
how they're kind of a foil to the Empire. Like their
Mhm.
prison is all like white and clean and everything like that, and the Death Stars, I don't remember, it almost looks exactly the same, but it's all painted black. So it was kind of
new
strange.
technology is new technology, baby.
I know. You gotta.
Doesn't matter whose flag it is under.
So it was really interesting to see the total opposite. Not to mention the droids. I don't know if you remember KS2O from Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
They look almost like
Very
that,
similar.
but they're like the good version of those droids. Anyway,
Mm.
it was a really interesting, but I would still say episode 3 again is still my favorite. But this episode holds a very special place in my heart.
Yeah, I think this was a very I agree with you. It was very it was cool to have the heist movie sort of thing in the let this be the episode for that. It does kind of fall into that trap of the previous episode was kind of you could see it as a filler. This one was definitely in the filler in the sense of it really doesn't move anything forward. But I'm okay with that. I think it was cool to just see him on his adventures and see how cutthroat it really can be.
Yeah.
Out where there's no law at all.
Mm-hmm.
He brings up that it's the New Republic ship or whatever, and they're like, yeah, so
Yeah.
we got to get our bread.
Yep.
Got
to make our money.
And by the way, we saw Flask from
Mark Boone Jr.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
met him.
They don't like falafel?
I showed you our selfie together.
Did you?
Yeah. It was a
Okay.
low-end selfie, and he never talked to me on. I'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Is that what you're talking
that
about?
was he was
What, they don't like falafel?
No questions. Remember?
Yeah.
So it was cool to see him. And Bill Burr was just surprisingly good.
He was really
in
good.
his role. I was I could see you coming back. And
My wife and I were really surprised at how good he was. I mean, I always knew Bill Burr could act because he's on
Yeah.
F is for Family and that kind of stuff for voiceover. But this was a very different role for him,
Mhm.
and I think he knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, it's something about this. I think it's just the whole. I think it's just what works best for Star Wars or something. It's like having Harrison Ford back in the day and having him be just a ball of charisma. And
I'm also going to give this episode bonus points because they got Bill Burr to do a Gungan impression.
that was
Yusa?
Yeah.
that was incredible.
What
by
are you,
the
a
way.
Gungan under there?
Yeah.
Yusa never take your helmet
You're
over.
so- I'm like,
If you already
are
said,
you
but
are you poking fun at yourself as a
Yeah.
meta joke?
100%. Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I had a good time. It was action packed. Again, it's not my favorite episode. I'm thinking right there with you with episode 3.
This is my second favorite, I think.
It might be second or third for me for sure. Yeah.
For me, I thought I was very meh.
Yeah.
I was very nonplussed about it. Not that I think there's so many great elements to it, but the thing is it's kind of just to me again kind of leaning into something that I'm not really excited about, and I
Mhm.
really am not excited about a bunch of characters that I'm kind of doomed to not care about. Even with the Sanctuary episode, with the Seven Samurai wannabe episode, which is nothing against the show, everyone's done it, but I cared about the widow.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I was able to care about certain people. I was able to care about Amy Sedaris' character, but this
Sure.
episode made me just I don't care about anybody. And I love the tough adversarial tension between Mando and the rest of the team. But there was a sense of kind of it almost felt like fanfic sometimes.
Mm.
And this was the episode that we did talk about, the first episode of Mandalori-On, where this was the one written by 2 different people other than
Right.
Favreau.
That's right,
So
yeah.
it was something that we were kind of apprehensive, or at least I was apprehensive of.
We kind of knew it would be its own.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
we
then
were very curious to see
the
what
way
it
it
would be.
started, I was loving it. I was like, dude, it's there's this beat going in,
The
and there's
music was
tension,
fantastic in this
and it's
episode.
going okay, cool, and there's these revolving shots, and it's here's the team, here's that. It reminded me of Blade 2,
Yeah.
which was written by David S. Goyer, who's also written for comic books, and I was it felt very work with the enemy now, and then go to a place where you don't want to go into. So I'm okay, this is fun. This is going to be cool. I could care less if it was even connected to it. And I know that's a lot of
Mhm.
criticism on the internet that actually there's no overarching themes at all. But this going into it, I was okay, I'm totally cool with this. Let's go on this ride.
Yeah.
But as the episode continued to kind of go on, nothing to me ever phased anything. She's an ex or blah blah blah. This guy looks like the devil. It's I was none of this. I think.
Well,
matters.
he's a reference to the guy in New Hope, right?
Yeah, but it was just kind of nothing played into it, and so I was cool. I mean,
Played
into why it had to be why did Clancy Brown have to look like that? Why did he have to be?
he's just that
character?
race.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
fine. And to me, more Twi'leks is something I'm interested in. That's a personal thing. But seeing more other things that I'm not too familiar with, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Well, that's a big Star Wars reference. So that's a big Easter egg. Him being
So are Twi'leks as well.
Well, even more so because the only other shot we get of that race is from New Hope. It's like a 4-second shot in the cantina, and everyone's always curious about what they are, all that kind of stuff. There's some fanfic that goes into it, but the reason he's in this is because one of the Mandalorian's main weapons is a flamethrower, and that race is specifically immune to fire. So I think that plays into a weakness of his. I think it was an important.
Yeah, I mean, like you could see each mercenary is like almost an aspect of the Mandalorian's arsenal, but that doesn't come to play as well.
Right. I mean, it's the same as why are they Twi'leks? They could have been anything.
But it's kind of like, oh, ex-lover, but also she uses blades, he uses blades. This guy uses guns, he has a lot of guns. He's fire, non-fire. It's like, cool.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, he has a ship, but this guy flies it better, but whatever. But yeah, so watching this, I mean, like, to me, there was definitely a lot of like cool moments in there, but it's still kind of like, I'm wondering where the season's going to pick off, or if it's going to just fizzle and just be like, it doesn't connect to anything. So I mean, I enjoyed it, and I think it's definitely just, it's high-end popcorn daytime television, which is interesting for me to like say that. Like, to me, it's just like a very, and not putting it in a bad way, but it's like watching if Walker Texas Ranger was in high production value, which isn't bad because I fucking love that show.
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean,
I think
that's kind
what
of
I
what
like
it
about
is.
it.
Yeah, it's very much like it's TV.
I watch
people
so
say
many
that-
fucking shows that have 5-season long story
well,
arcs.
so the problem is that also like we're in a super saturated like Sopranos just destroyed TV.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way or not in a good way. Where like everyone
It just
thinks
changed it.
everyone, including myself, like is just so geared
For
for
an
hour-long
hour-long.
dramas
Mhm.
and with characters that are like super anti-hero. And Mandalorian is kind of like a little bit of a fresh breath there in a sense, but in the same way as it's playing in a world where like it's surrounded by everything it's not. And so
Right.
it's
For me, it's like I said, it's a better Firefly for me. It's essentially the same thing. Every
Yeah.
episode is a different thing that doesn't really tie into it. The only thing that ties every episode together is they need to get a living cargo somewhere.
Yeah.
What is Mandalorian? A bunch of episodes that don't tie to anything, where the only through line is they have to get a living cargo somewhere.
Except
It's executed
the
better.
child isn't in a box. It was in a box ish.
So she
was
was
in a
in a box, and she's not in a box. She's no longer in a box
Ollie,
either. I just think
almost your-
I mean,
almost your
that's so
favorite.
for me. That's why I'm so okay with this. Is
Yeah.
like if there's a place where Firefly exists and there's a fandom for it enough to get a movie, and there's a diehard fandom, I don't see why those same critiques can't apply to Firefly.
And
that apply to this.
Somebody somewhere
Does that make sense?
decided that, 100%. Someone decided that like serialized stuff should stop.
Yeah.
And
Because it used to in the '60s, that was it.
I
That
mean,
was what you had.
for a
And-
while we've been seeing like this rise of anthology stuff.
Yeah.
It's like with
well, people
want to
create
as
the
well.
massive cinematic scope and stuff like that with success of shows like Breaking Bad and,
Yeah.
and like how
I mean,
that
Marvel
can pay
got
off.
into it with
Yeah.
the Marvel TV.
Right.
DC got into it with CW
But
shows.
I'm totally okay with it. I just wish they would lean more into it. I
Yeah,
guess is what I would.
I mean, and I would
say.
say like the one thing I think is a little different in terms of what Mandalorian's doing and Firefly is doing is that Mandalorian isn't relying on an ensemble.
Mhm.
It's relying on like two characters that don't have a lot of expressions.
Well, it's a western.
Yeah.
It's like
well, I mean, so it's Firefly.
It's the
but
Masked
then that
Ranger.
also
That's
has
true.
a lot of
That's true.
ensemble.
I guess I meant like
For me,
more
that's
of a
a-
spaghetti western.
Makes me like it more. I like the centralized on the one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rather
I
than-
think it could be cool, but it's tough to do again, like without a little bit of like. The one thing I really did like was it was Mark Boone Jr. He's like,
Yeah.
why the face? And I'm like, there's no face.
And he
there.
makes an expression and he goes, "Is that gratitude?"
yeah,
And
I
then
was like,
walks off.
yeah, so it's like there's no face.
Yeah. See, like I guess, and I'm in the camp that like Lion King didn't bother me either.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
everyone was like, "Oh, I can't tell what expressions," and I was like, "Did you?" So I think I'm in the camp of this. Of like, I do understand everything he like when he's standing there silently. I think from the context of the scene, I do.
Well, I buy it and I
doesn't
don't
bother
buy
me.
it. I mean,
Do you know what I mean?
my house cat that I have at home, like I understand when she's being affectionate versus she wants food.
Yeah.
Like you can kind of see expression in those animals
Right.
anyways.
And
like it's there.
So for me, the Mandalorian isn't a far stretch from that, and it hasn't been a problem for me, I guess, to not see his face. Like again, if you listen to our first episode, I thought it was going to be something that was going to be a detriment for my viewing of the show. And I mean, like I get people are coming from. I mean,
No, I get
facial
it, yeah.
features are a huge part of how we
I
express how we
think
are.
also the tough thing is the pacing as well. Is because like we don't get facial features. And I'm not saying like you could watch a movie about a robot
Yeah.
and not have any facial features at all. But then giving the time and I guess gravity of the situation, like you're allowed these like dramatic beats where like the show is trying to be like a half-hour show
Mhm.
and it's just like a breakneck speed. So like it's
Yeah.
more action paced than it is drama paced. And so we don't it's not I don't want to say you're getting robbed of it, but it's you're having to be the audience is having to put more on their plate to have to engage.
Maybe. I don't feel that way personally. My experience of it is like I'm really glad it's a half an hour.
Mhm.
And I'm really glad it's like or serialized. Like these are the
Episodic.
episodic. These are the
Yeah.
things that didn't know I've missed from TV. Like,
Well,
'cause
I
I used to watch all those shows with my mom. Like,
Well, I mean, also
yeah.
it harkens back. I mean, like going into it a little bit. It's like you and Dana love watching like Boy Meets World and Friends, and there's not a lot of like each episode has to connect to the last one.
Right,
There's
yeah.
some things in the season that'll
Right.
happen,
Mhm.
but like you could have just popped on an episode and nothing. You wouldn't have missed a thing.
yeah, that's why
Mhm.
I still watch Frasier
Yeah.
to this day.
To this day. Let's move on
yeah.
to brief synopsis and production.
Let's do it.
So Corey, you want to do the brief synopsis?
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna do real brief because we've
Yeah.
already talked so much.
I
I
know.
didn't even realize that. Basically, Mandalorian gets hired to go rescue someone's crew member, and he has a ragtag team of people he's put together that he doesn't know. No one really trusts each other. They get on board. Bullying ensues. They break into a droid-run New Republic prison
So these are the good guys.
to break this out. Yeah.
Mhm.
And lo and behold, they're kicking ass, and it is not droid run. There is a human on board who is played by the voice of Anakin Skywalker from the Clone Wars for all 7 seasons. Little
Oh.
cameo.
Ollie, when you start it, you would like it.
And there's a little kind of Mexican standoff there where Nymphadora Trunks ends up killing him, and he presses the
Yeah.
button to send a signal to the New Republic that there is distress signal, and they're sending a fleet, essentially, a small fleet.
Mhm.
So they have 20 minutes to get out of there. They finally find the Twi'lek who they were looking for. Turns out it's Nymphadora Trunks' brother, who the Mando knew,
Tonks.
who left him for, what did I say?
You said Trunks.
Trunks, my bad.
Dragon Ball Z.
I was actually looking up Dragon Ball Z stuff earlier. So Nymphadora Tonks, excuse me. Turns out he left him for dead somewhere, and they betray the Mandalorian and lock him into the prison. Mando gets out. Badassery ensues.
Mhm.
Mandalorianisms ensue.
Yeah.
And he eventually defeats every single one of them and finally gets to Quinn, who he takes in, gets his reward. As he's flying off, he is betrayed by his old friend. He says, kill him. But what he doesn't know is that the Mandalorian has hidden that little New Republic tracker in the pants of Quinn. Starts beeping as 3
Well,
X-Wings
how'd that get
pull
in
up.
there? I'm sorry.
3 X-Wings pull
Are
up.
those X-Wings?
Each of the pilots played by directors of Mandalorian episodes. The first one we see is Dave Filoni. We see Deborah Chow there, and it's Rick. What is it? How do you pronounce that?
Femayiwa.
Famuyiwa.
Yeah.
All 3 are there. It was a great cameo. Made me smile from cheek to cheek. And they destroy the station, blow it up completely as the Mandalorian escapes into hyperdrive and gives the Baby Yoda the little gear shift ball, saying, "I told you it was a bad idea."
Yep.
So there we go. How was that?
That was great.
Thank you. That was like 20 minutes.
It was.
Mhm.
It was like so long.
So long.
So
Favorite
no,
production?
What the hell? The production. So I mean, the main things that are different. Director is Rick Famuyiwa, who directed Dope, The Wood, and The Shy. And the writer was Christopher L. Yost, who is best known for writing Thor Ragnarok, Thor: The Dark World, Iron Man: Armored Adventures TV show, and in future Masters of the Universe that'll be on Netflix, and Cowboy Bebop. The changed cast will be Richard Ayoade, who is in the IT Crowd, The Watch, Submarine, Clancy Brown, the Highlander, voice in Superman the Animated, as well as SpongeBob, Mark Boone Jr., Sons of Anarchy, Batman Begins, and Memento, Bill Burr, who was in Stand Up Guys, Date Night, and Breaking Bad, and Natalia.
Natalia.
Natalia. Natalia Tenna, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, and About a Boy. Release date of the episode is December 13th, 2019. And this episode is 43 minutes in its totality. And the Rotten Tomatoes score for audience decreased by 1% to a 94 this week.
Uh-oh.
It's okay. Like I said, it was made for me. That's why.
Yeah.
They
Baby
went,
Yoda was
we're
a
gonna,
fad.
We're gonna focus on Corey.
There was
Yeah.
one other Corey that didn't like it.
Yeah, right.
1%.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that brings us to favorite parts. Favorite
Mhm.
parts of the show. I will say this. This episode I really liked in terms of the effectiveness of how it made the Mandalorian really embody the Swiss Army knife of a human being
Yes.
that I think he's supposed to
I was
embody.
actually
Right.
thinking of you through all the fights. I was like, this is what Tom has been waiting for.
Yeah,
Doing
like,
all the different things.
doing
yeah.
the different things, fighting different ways, and also being like, okay, cool, I got betrayed. I'm not gonna go just chase after them like a hero does. I'm going to like
Kind of plays psychological warfare.
Well, it's
Yeah.
like, I want to hunt down my prey.
Yeah. Separate and
And
hunt.
that's what I typically like is when the hero gets to become God for a second, because it is a cool. Your uppins have come.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
thinking I was like Mando ain't no bitch.
No.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna hunt them down.
I mean,
Him
he got
taking
shot
down
like
those droids.
Yeah, he got
Yeah.
shot like several times.
That's what that armor's
that
about,
Beskar, baby.
And the one thing I also did like was like making droids not relevant, but also making droids scary again.
Yeah.
Like I've been saying, this is kind of my journey. This show is also serving as my journey of watching Rebels, and I just got to the episode where that is a spoken thing where they ask like, I don't know why the clone soldiers were so afraid of droids, and it's like then you realize like the effectiveness of what a droid really was under
Yeah.
proper
like the droidicas and the battle droids.
under
and shit.
proper
The ones that are meant
planning.
for
Under proper planning and usage, like just different types of formations and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, that's cool. So seeing droids like just pretty much be so overwhelming
Yeah.
to these mercenaries, where like we've only followed Jedi,
Mhm.
and Jedi just deflect,
Push.
They
push.
even made a stab at stormtroopers in this one.
I
Yeah, so
love
They're
that.
like, I ain't no stormtrooper.
He's like,
Because
he's an
he was,
Imperial
like-
sharpshooter. He's like,
Yeah.
that says a lot.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
he said,
that
I,
says a
I
lot.
wasn't a
I love
stormtrooper
that comment.
asshole or wise
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah.
Loved that line. I even wrote it down. I was like, this
Also,
is...
also Bill Burr. Bill Burrisms
Bill-
are really great. Just
Yeah,
nice shoes.
yeah.
They match your belt.
Yeah,
That was
they
pretty
matched
funny.
the belt.
I like that.
That was a reference to, because I think they're stormtrooper boots
Oh.
that the like Galactic Republic has repurposed as their part of their
Interesting.
army. One of my favorite parts was the flashing lights Mandalorian. Little Batman moment.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Where
Oh,
he's coming up on Bill
yes.
Burr, and then Bill Burr turns around, and
And
yet
he's
he's
there.
still behind him again.
Here.
I'm right here.
Oh, also with Bill Burr, this freaking shoulder gun.
That was dope.
That
just
was
popped out.
cool.
That
And I
was
was like,
really cool.
in my mind, I'm like, motherfucker, why does no one have this?
Yeah.
Like, you know how useful that would just be? Just
Round
"Oh, yeah,
quarters.
cool.
It'd be
Just-
a
or just
little
behind-
turret on your shoulder
just
at all the time.
behind you.
Well, it like turned a corner.
Yeah,
one
well,
time.
but also just your 6 is always covered.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So,
Um,
favorite parts?
I mean, that one's a pretty good one.
which one?
Batman?
The-
The Batman.
oh,
moment.
that was like, I cheered out loud.
Yeah, that
I
was
like,
pretty great.
Yes.
I really liked the that doesn't say much, like just
Mhm.
that line. But it was cool to see just the hangar and like getting the posse together. Like that was
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I
I
like
really
the
like
shot
that sequence.
selections
Yeah.
they use and like the rotation shot,
Yeah.
the parallax use. I'm like, it's building this scope, but it's also saying that this plot is conspiring. And I'm telling you, that's when I started getting a fucking huge ass nerd on. And I was like, I'm about this. I'm fucking
Rick,
here.
That was cool. I really dug the
directed
beginning.
shit out of this.
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
haven't
I'll
watched
say
Dope yet, Corey,
No.
you son of a bitch.
I definitely I think I'm with you, Tom, in the sense that I like the beginning a lot more than towards the end.
It
But,
felt-
like
didn't
it felt really
Didn't it feel like a cinematic to like a raid?
yes,
Like,
This
doesn't
felt
it?
like a video game.
it did.
Well, the whole show feels like a video game.
I know.
Yeah.
I also
Except
really,
I know how to use my
we've
character a little
spoken.
better than
I really loved the fake Force moment with Baby Yoda.
Oh, yeah,
That
he
was
went to
funny.
his hands.
It's like,
His
did
hand.
I do that? That was crazy.
And I loved the design of Zero. I thought that was a cool looking droid.
It
Mhm.
Like an
reminded
assassin
me
droid.
of The Masked Rider. It's the old Japanese like Power Ranger show.
And I love that he was totally a robot about it, about like coming out of hyperdrive and docking.
Now,
And he was just like, now,
Now.
doing this now, flipping,
doing
cloak,
this now,
whatever. Like,
yeah.
no
I was
warning
like, yeah,
whatsoever.
like,
Well, I mean, yeah, because the robot,
you're a robot, you're a
yeah.
computer. You're just
Yeah.
gonna get the job done.
which I liked a lot. That I was like, oh, that's true. He probably can pilot better than anyone.
Did you
could.
also notice when he's going off on his thing where he's like, my reflexes are greater than anything that's living? He turns around and what's his name? John Boone Jr.
Yeah, Mark
Mark Boone Jr. reaches out and like hits him in the face, and he's like, ah.
I
And
didn't
he
notice
walks
that.
off. Dude, go back and just watch that moment again, because he turns and he goes, oh, okay,
That's
and he goes
funny.
to pat him on the shoulder, but he turns and it hits him in the face, and
Oh.
he's like, ah.
That's funny.
It was a nice little like slap on the face.
I
extra.
always we talked about it in the beginning. I worked my first ever job moving to LA. I worked on a film that like a lot of the Sons of Anarchy people helped produce and make and star in,
right.
and Mark Boone Jr. was in it. And I remember like literally seeing him on set, and I was like this little lowly PA, so just getting people coffee and whatever the fuck they wanted was my job. And I remember just seeing his trailer, and he opens the door, and he's like, like 3 feet above ground, like standing over these stairs, and he's just like open shirt, like just his whole body, just for the world to see. And I'm like, oh, hey, sir, do you need a coffee or water? And he just does in his way. Does it look like I need coffee or water? I'm like, I'll go fuck myself now. Thank
You should have just said yes.
Yes,
but then,
you look parched.
and then I was like, no, my name's Tom. If you need anything, I'll be here. And then he didn't talk to me at all for the entire shooting of the movie.
Shout out.
Then rap party shows up, and he's there, and he's just trying chilling by himself, and everyone fucking knows him. And then like I'm just alone at like drinking, and then all of a sudden like just like with my phone, I'm doing my little hey, we out here, and then he grabs my phone, and then he stops the video, and then he like just like looks at me. He's like, "You want a picture?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And then he just takes his little selfie with me.
Dope.
And I was like, "That's cool. That's what's up." And I was like, "It's wonderful to meet you." He's like, "You were really good." Blah 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 blah. So I was
Oh,
like,
nice.
"Oh, there's a nice little like happy ending."
So once
story.
he's off set, he was like, all right, now
He
I'm
was
not
chill,
working
yeah.
anymore.
Well, also, I don't
Yeah.
think he just didn't give a fuck.
You gotta have
about
that.
it.
You gotta have that facade.
Yeah.
Also, can I just shout out the double doors moment
Oh
of
yeah.
this episode?
Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown
Which one?
bringing the
Oh,
door back
yeah.
up, and then Mando just going beep beep, and the
No.
double door. It cracked his horns and everything. Did you see?
Yeah, or I
You
gasped.
grasped what?
He
I
grasped his
myself.
balls.
Yeah.
We all wash our hands with our pants. All right.
But I was just like, ooh.
Yeah, and if you look at the very end, if you look very carefully, both his horns are broken completely.
I do love myself some good Clancy Brown.
Yeah,
And,
man.
Every time he snarls and he says something, I'm like, that's that. There's just some kind of
What do you call him? Little insect?
uh,
Little mouse.
the mouse when he shot the little thingy.
Yeah.
But
mouse.
there's something about just his voice and the way it's just like the best mocha cappuccino you've ever had.
Yeah. Or when he like sumo wrestles the droids
Yeah.
in the hallway and just
Oh,
throws
yeah.
one into the other
Those-
one, and they're like,
yeah.
okay,
Like, all right, that works.
that works for me.
I really actually enjoyed the little standoff in the control room. Like
Mhm.
where
Me too.
you see Mendo's
Tensions.
wanting to become a negotiator, wanting to not take life
He
unnecessarily.
was almost there too.
And he's like, hold on. He holsters a gun. He calms everyone down. And I still, I'll say there's one small thing that I fucking love. It's kind of like, to me, this is the Iron Man whirring sound of his repulsors. It's the roar of the flamethrower.
Yeah.
Every time it's like, did you just turn on a fucking lion? Like
It's so
I was like,
satisfying.
My God.
Watching the Clancy Brown not get affected by it
Yeah,
at all
but
was
no,
like,
but it was cooler to see him like steaming or
Yeah,
smoking
and smiling.
Like,
You're
yeah,
like,
and
Jesus
smiling. You're like,
Christ.
oh my god.
and I mean I know I referenced it before when I referenced the droid, but looking around and be like, all right, Mando, and he's gone, and you're like, where is
And then he's
he?
behind them.
And he just steps out from behind them. I was just like, yes.
I think I noticed it like every other time the lights would turn on, he wasn't there.
Oh, during
So it was,
that
like,
during the Bill Burr,
on-
I'm talking about the robot one, the first
Oh,
fight
okay.
when he takes down all the robots, and he's like, Bill Burr literally tells everyone not to help, and he just takes
right.
down
He's
all the
just
robots
watching him
himself, and
as
finally
he's
gets
doing-
that last shot through that
Yeah.
one's head. But yeah, the Mando one, it's every other light, he's there.
Mhm.
I just thought that was such a good, like I was on the edge of my seat cheering during that whole. I was like, yes, this is what it's supposed to be like. Like he's coming into his own as a Mandalorian, which is really cool.
I would definitely say that the script is actually pretty like super well balanced and super well like written,
Mhm.
because I remember one part I was like, that's such a plot device line, but I was like, it works so well.
Do you remember which one?
Yeah, it's when they're like, why are we taking this ship versus our ship, which is faster? It's like, why is he technically even here? And then they explain it's like, well, his ship is off New Republic and the Empire's grid,
Right.
so that's why we need it, even though
Right.
it's at 67% hyperspeed
Mhm.
capacity. And I was like, that's pretty fucking effective. Just like, and to me, I kind of like put that on Christopher Yost, because I
Yeah.
was just like, he's written TV for so long, and I feel like that's kind of like what he needs.
He's like,
to
where's
do.
our MacGuffin? Kind of like, where's our in?
Yeah, because it's kind of like sometimes you ask, like, why would he go into a place that he knows he has bad blood with?
Yeah.
Why would he do these things? Like, one, he needs money, but it's like, why do they need him? Like, you got to ask yourself like questions like, why does a character go there, but why is a character also beckon
Yeah,
there?
I did like him saying like, the ship's the reason I let you in. Why do
Yeah.
you think you could land here?
And so I was
Yeah.
like, that's really cool.
I
And-
dug that.
And I mean, I love a lot of the Mark Boone Jr. stuff where he's just like so chummy.
Yeah.
But it's also just
He's
like,
got that beard going on right now, man.
Yeah. Rocking
I also want to do a little Easter egg shout out to one of the prisoners is a Ardenian, which is the little monkey with
Mhm.
4 arms,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is
I don't
what
think he was that little.
well, it's what Jon Favreau voiced in Solo. So I think that was a
Oh.
little like because it has its own little moment where it pulls its
Well,
head
you
up.
see
Yeah.
2 hands, and then you see 2
two more hands
Two
and
more
then the little
hands, and
face.
then
And I was like, wait a minute. And I like remembered, I was like, I think Jon Favreau voiced the little monkey in Solo, and he did. And I think that was a little nod to like,
Is
Yeah.
he trying to become the Stanley of Star Wars?
no, well, because
Yeah.
spoiler for Solo. Turn this off right now if you didn't see that film a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Or listen to our
his
episode.
character dies in that, so I don't think it's the same exact one. But it was a nice little like, we got you.
Stanley dies in The Incredible Hulk.
What?
The movie, The Incredible Hulk, Stanley
he?
dies in there. He drinks the gamma radiated.
Or does he become another
No,
Hulk
he
we
doesn't.
don't know about? Anyway.
So favorite characters
Yes.
of the episode,
That's a good question.
other than the Mando, obviously.
What was Bill Burr's character's name?
Mayfeld.
Mayfeld. I think I like Mayfeld.
I liked Zero a lot.
I was gonna
Zero was
say
good, too.
Zero.
Zero. I mean, obviously, you could pick more than one. I like Zero, and I really liked Marpin Jr.'s. Like it was just like,
Yeah.
it's like Carl Weathers, but just like the mercenary version.
Exactly.
I don't.
I know we like the mousy.
Huh? I like the mousy. No, I don't know if I have a favorite. I like this. For me, this was like a really nice Ocean's 11. Like,
I know you didn't like.
we need everyone for this kind of
Mhm.
I
thing.
know you didn't like Quinn as much.
No.
There he is.
How'd you know?
Because no one did.
Oh yeah.
Because that was probably not against the actor or anything, but that was like the least interesting character.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's nothing
His
against
sister was
him.
awesome.
Nothing against him or the actor, but it's just like dude, who gives a shit?
Sheehan. I think her name
you were just
Sheehan.
the-
He's just like this asshole. It's like we all
Yeah.
expected everyone to be assholes no
Yeah.
matter what. So when he becomes more assholes, like who cares?
I'll say Sheehan was my favorite.
Okay.
Because she moved shit along.
Yeah.
That moment when she threw the dagger and she's
Yeah,
like, "You
it's
guys
like,
are
let's
fucking
go.
boring." I was like, "Dumb. All right, all right, cool."
Will you all shut
And I also
up?
like seeing Twi'leks with like sharp teeth.
I'm not a fan.
I think I mean I am because it's not a universal thing. It's clearly just like
Her.
and her brother.
Yeah.
So like I
their
wonder
clan probably.
I wonder what what
Must
their clan is
be-
like or what
They're probably not a
Yeah.
very royal family because I know I'm watching Rebels. And I know more about that shit,
Yeah.
baby. But like and Ollie, this isn't a spoil, but like
Mm.
I love that Star Wars has this built in where based on like so we speak English, but then like if you
Do
talk
we?
to people in the UK, they have their own version of English.
British
So they have
English.
their
We have American
accent.
English.
And so
Right.
Twi'leks, they speak basic, but then they have an accent when they speak in their actual native.
Mm.
And so like they were speaking kind of in an accent. I feel like to me that's their this live action version of like
Yeah.
this is their native tongue.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like it's become a standard that Star Wars planets are a single weather
Mhm.
forever and are a single race
Mhm.
for like the whole thing, and there's no variation. And it's like we have to realize it's an entire planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be probably
Well,
variations of the
I'd be
of the
interested to
species
see more
and-
about the more like basically more I guess probably warlike Twi'leks.
dude, for sure. I'm telling you, ever since
I
Rebels,
wouldn't have been a fan if all Twi'leks
This
had the
is-
sharp
this is
teeth.
where
But
to
for
do
the
it.
purpose of this, I was like, I dig it.
Ever since I saw Rebels, I'm like, I want to see some fucking Twi'leks. Man.
Yeah.
That's some dope.
That's now you know how I feel about Mandalorians and about the devil species.
I would want to see more of the Death Watch, I'd say.
Yeah, dude, Death Watch.
or see the peaceful Mandalorians.
I'm just saying Mandalorians in general. I want all of it, baby. I think
Uh,
Mandalorians are one of the most interesting races or tribes in
They're
the
the
Star Wars
greatest
universe.
fighters in the universe, but why all of them are dead? Anyways,
Y'all play some Knights of the Old Republic and get back to me. That shit
Yes.
is nuts.
or watch Clone Wars and just watch the entire third season.
no, because the Mandalorians in Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic, is such a unique like time for them.
Oh,
'cause
you're
they
right.
were
You know what? Dave Filoni and Genny Tartakovsky didn't make unique ones in Clone Wars.
That's not what I'm saying.
That's exactly what it was saying.
It's just like it's a weird in between because they're still technically at war, but there's a ton of them still,
Mm.
and their suits are really different, and so a lot of them are entering into like battle arenas and winning like everything, and they're no longer like they're not quite a myth yet because there are so many of
They're
them. They're
around,
kind of
yeah.
like assholes, and I kind of love it.
They're Saiyans.
Yeah, they're essentially Saiyans, and you get to like train with them at one point, and you work your way up into their tribe and defeat their like best warriors, and they're like, okay, you're kind of an honorary Mandalorian at this point. So
There you go.
qualms?
Qualms.
Qualms.
Well, you said my qualm.
I
I would have liked to see
Quinn.
Quinn do more.
Yeah.
but he was kind of wasted. I think he's an interesting character, and I think the tie-in was cool.
Yeah.
But I would have loved to
Yeah.
have an extra 10 minutes.
If this if this wasn't an episodic type storytelling, it could have been cool of him and Mando getting stranded on an island or on a planet without fuel, waiting for a rescue, and then you have to hash through what they went through.
Are we saying show me the body?
No, I'm saying
No, I'm just saying, are we going to say that for him? Or is he gone?
this show is show me the body. This show, if you're not in the next episode, I'm just like, whatever.
Like I don't have any
I don't
hope for you to
know.
come back.
Do you think he's dead is what I'm trying to ask you.
Ye-
Let me be more direct.
I think he's dead.
I don't think so.
I think as of right now, yes. If when season 2 starts in production and they hit a roadblock, no.
Okay. There you go.
They'll bring him back.
Yeah, exactly.
Leave the door
They'll bring
open.
whoever they want back. They're like, oh, they didn't really kill
Leave
him.
the option.
Yeah.
Lisa, other qualms?
Do you say least favorite
Least
part?
here, let's say least favorite
Jesus.
Well,
We don't say that here.
if you think about it, it's your not
your
the
list
most
of least
favorite.
favorite.
It's the less favorite.
Yeah.
For
Tom?
me, I wasn't a fan of a lot of the direction of all of any of the acting, any of the delivery of when they were said, how they were said. I think all of the actors are more than capable of giving more than what they were given. And that's a weird thing. And I praise the writing, but I think just the format of the show, like Bill Burr, Bill Burr can fucking play a character, but I feel like he was almost I think he kind of would have stolen the show. And I think that would have been something that they didn't want to have. Because this episode did run longer than the other ones. And I feel like there were some things that they couldn't cut out.
Mhm.
And I was like, everyone could kind of get a little bit more, but I'm kind of in this place where it's I still don't care about anybody. And I was like, give me something. And then we almost got it with Xi'an. And I was like, give me some of this relationship shit. Give me some of this, the secrets of him. And then it's A Lady Never Tells. I'm like, that's cool, femme fatale. Let me see more of it in the control room. Never mind. And I was like, okay. It's oh, and then Bill Burr's like, oh, what about your sister? I'm like, maybe the compassionate. No, he's just dead.
No, he's
Okay.
an asshole.
And so, he's not even dead. He's just captured. I'm like, that's okay.
Yeah.
So there was that whole thing going on, and that's what again it came out with right when they landed. It was the opening was great. The shit parts were great because I'm like, cool. You're building the tension. You're building the pieces. I'm gonna see this all go down, and some part of me kind of felt like there's going to be a betrayal because they did a lot of good shots between cutaways of looking at each other. I'm like, you can't fucking trust these motherfuckers. But then it's you never really felt who was really in charge. And I really wanted to be Bill Burr, but you kind of introduced him as if he was, but then at later times it's he's not. And so it was kind of interesting. But again, they're all mercenaries. So it's is there ever really an alpha wolf in that? No.
In a mercenary pack? No.
So it's interesting. And that's sort of thing. I was I kind of it plays so many different doors open. And I feel for me, it kind of didn't, it kind of halfway nailed all of the nails into the coffin. Not saying the coffin's a bad thing, but just as a phrase, didn't fully nail it in, but it's oh, they're almost done. And it's
maybe it checked the boxes without really understanding what it needed to accomplish with those.
Yeah, in some sense, I think
it didn't come together to anything.
If one character had been a Gina Carano, or one character had been the dude in the last episode, is that just played a little bit more of a secondary character, I think I would have felt a little bit better.
What I would have liked is, I think it would have been a good opportunity because we still don't know where it's headed, if there is a place that it's headed.
It's for sure renewed for season 2.
Oh yeah. But just to inch it forward a little bit, I would have loved him being oh, New Republic, a resource of hey, let me tap into the directory of Jedi. I don't know, move forward with what you're doing with Baby Yoda.
I would say this, I, as much as I keep harking on I'm not really too much of a fan of this episodic thing, I'm not going to want it to be give me some feedway into it, but
I'm you're not expecting it to be something it's not.
It could have been an interesting scene with Mayweather, or what is his name? Mayfeld.
Mayfeld.
Mayfeld. It could have been a good
Yeah.
like a scene where you get to maybe see him sympathize
yeah,
or like
exactly. So like you guys have watched Blade 2? He has to work with the
Yeah.
bad guys. His main asshole or his main like just pain in the ass is Ron Perlman's character. And it's because he keeps pushing Wesley Snipes' buttons. And it's like, if Bill Burr had been that, then I'm like, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Or if it would have been more like, oh, this is the X. And it's like, not so much as like there's sexual tension, but like there's so much bad blood. And like we had kind of like almost no idea that
we needed
like
some of the
she had a
talking
brother.
through. Right. I wish like we got a bit more of like, because a bit of it, I was like, why is everybody picking on Mando? Like, why? Like I didn't get enough of justification for it.
I get that, but like I would have wanted a little bit more directed to the other. Like almost one person is kind of leading the charge, and the other ones are kind of just like Crab and Goyle. A Draco Malfoy to the Harry Potter,
which Clancy Brown's character almost was
for sure. And so I was like, someone pop out to be like the one that's like pushing more of the buttons, because it just kind of felt like here's this melange of characters that you won't care about.
Yeah.
And I think that was to me the most irritating part. But other than that, like and that was a tough thing because this episode really leaned on the fact that like there's all these characters that we're following, and it's like almost everything like relied on them. But like I liked all the setups.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I wanted that more.
I could have watched him if this was the movie. Like if the movie of Mandalorian was about this heist too. This felt like the middle 45 of a movie or the middle 30 of a movie.
I mean,
we could have had another 30 at the beginning and another 30 at the end.
Have you watched Pitch Black with Vin Diesel?
Yeah.
That's exactly what that is. It's like there's a whole crew of people that kind of don't know each other. They're all just here to transport Vin Diesel's character, and then at the end of the day, Vin Diesel's
That's a good example. Like exactly. Like this could have been a really good movie premise.
Yeah.
But they fit it into a half an hour.
I mean, and there's some,
still think
Could
it's
have had
better
some
than,
like
there's some critiques with that too, where it's like, is each episode just kind of like, because there's some sense of like, is Disney kind of just testing, like experimenting, like which episodes are doing well and which ones can we use? Because Star Wars has dipped down ever since it went to Disney.
Yeah.
And so like,
they've never had a live action TV show before.
Yeah. And so like, is this a good chance for them to be like, oh, people really like this episode, so let's do like a Twi'lek episode or a Twi'lek movie like this. Let's do a Java or wherever that race is.
Episode.
Well, it had like I guess and that's just the TV-ness of it. Like it felt a little like samey, that environment. I think that's what kind of took away from some of the enjoyment towards the end of it for me.
Sorry, can you?
Yeah, samey.
expand?
Like the
homogenous.
Like the corridors were always the same. Like even towards like till the very end, I was like, it looks like they built one
set and they shot it multiple
with
times.
a T end at the end, and they just kept using it over and over again. Which is like, I get it, and that's fine. But like, I'm thinking of like,
No one complained when Firefly did it.
no one complained. Yeah, I totally,
I'm just saying.
totally get it.
Because Firefly had like maybe a fraction of the budget.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm like, you could have, like in A New Hope, you have him going around the thing, and he's like climbing up on that equipment, and like have like change it up like a little bit.
Budget's a little different. I feel like
I think budget isn't just budget. Like with Kung Fury, like no one's going to complain when a $5,000 film is shot completely in front of a green screen.
A majority of the people who are watching don't understand budget though, so it shouldn't make a difference between show and show in as far as a set piece goes.
Well, it's to me, I
I
find
don't know if that could have been controlled. Like it might not. Maybe it is. If that was your restriction, you need to put all your money in the CG robots. Then
the tough thing is kind of like, how do you make the cockpit or the bridge of the Star Trek Enterprise look interesting, even though it's the same thing?
Right.
You have ways to make it look cooler without looking at the same.
Sure.
But I would say actually to that opposite point, I really like the look of it. Even though
I love the look.
very
Yeah,
similar.
for sure.
because if like, oh, this feels nice in a way, because it's like it's just framed so differently, and so it's flat in a nice way and not so flashy. But yeah.
Yeah, I would have liked some environmental variances, but that's just like one thing, because this had a very Solo-ish vibe, and like, but then Solo was like obviously is way more expensive. Like that first heist is like some crazy
Not actually
mountain
that much
train.
more expensive.
Yeah.
But like that, I mean, that movie, that first train heist, like how epic and insane was the scope of that scene?
I don't know, because the train heist is to me very like, also like it harkens back to like, it's a pretty simple, not simple. It's a pretty simple like storytelling piece of a heist, but just depends how you want to shoot it.
Captain America.
Yeah, everything.
I think your budget defines what you can do and what you can write realistically.
Sure.
Like
yeah.
if you're like,
Absolutely.
well, don't write that because we can't afford. You know what
Also,
I mean? But there is
it kind of depends on
You
like
can't
what's
afford a 36-foot tall wiener. So
Right.
can you write something else?
Sorry, that's all I got.
It also depends on like how much time do you have to have variable shot selection
Yeah.
versus like just get the fucking coverage.
Special effects, compositions, like if you can.
It takes time.
Yeah.
Because I think in a world where like Rick probably had the time and day, he probably would have wanted something to be shot as a one shot.
Yeah.
Like the opening of this episode like started with the behind of the Mandalorian, and I was like, oh yeah.
The Nolan shot?
I'm here for that shit.
because it's like to me, there's like these are shots that take time.
Yeah.
But then when you just get basic coverage, like these are shots because
Like you can see the difference between the postcards and just having to fill in the shots. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess that wraps us out. Any last remarks other than Easter eggs or stuff like that?
Prisoner.
No. I think I snuck all the Easter eggs in throughout the episode.
Very
But
slyly.
I'm sure there's more to
Like, as
catch.
if red lights were flashing and you snuck up behind the audience of Bill Burr and just snuck in those
exactly.
Easter eggs.
Mhm.
Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see if anything happens with them in that jail cell, in that empty prison that's just floating
Yeah,
through
I know,
space.
right? So we got 2 episodes left.
Mhm.
2 episodes left. I mean, again, this
A movie in between.
Yeah, and then so this next episode
Next episode drops on a Wednesday.
Wednesday.
So remember that, people.
And
Yes.
so
And
we will be on our social media when we drop the newest episode.
Yes.
If not, it might just be on your normal
'Cause-
programming.
Episode 9 is coming out. I keep saying that when I shouldn't say it like that.
Yeah.
The Rise of Skywalker is coming out. And that is going to be, like, we're going to obviously do an episode on that. But then, like, the episode... Does that come out the same? Yes, okay. So it'll come out in the order that they...
Yeah.
Our episode will come out
We
in the
got
same
this.
order as them.
Yeah.
So we got it.
Your normal programming will continue.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you like what you listen and you like what you hear, please check out more of what we do at nerdon.tv. It has all the links of all of our YouTube, Twitch, and the other shows of the Nerd On. What do you call it? Radio station family?
Family.
Okay.
Just the Nerd On family.
Well, Ollie,
Welcome.
do it raw and sing us out.
You know the drill. As always.
Nerd On.
Ending broadcast.